Perfect. I guess, we have about 15 minutes left. I'll open it up to you guys if you have any questions. I mean, I have a list of questions, but I think this is for you guys. So, is there any questions? Are there any questions? No questions? Nothing? Nothing?
What are the best and worst aspects of all your day-to-day jobs?
For me right now, you guys. Other than that, what about you?
The best is when you hear about an idea that you put together that sold, and whatever is $3, $4 million, $6 million, whatever it is, and the worst is when you have to get on a kickoff call with the client. The client didn't agree to everything that you told them they bought. So I think that's probably the best and worst. I think a lot of times, I'm on the marketing ad sales side. So when I listened to the salespeople earlier talking, it's my life, but on the side where they would come to me and I have to deliver concepts, and then we have to get on the phone and battle with clients. And that's probably the worst. The hardest part of my job is having to explain to someone that their expectations or something that they want didn't run correctly on the network, or that's always hard.
Please.
Best is definitely when you pull together an idea, especially on the corporate sponsorship side of sports marketing or marketing in general. What you're going to find is if you want to pursue sports marketing, it's all going to be about kind of like the way we work with I'm trying to work with our interns right now, is helping them. That the key is always understanding the client or the people on the other side of the table, understanding what their business objectives are, and then the key to successful sports marketing is figuring out how to position your assets. So whatever sport entity you're working for or whatever your angle is, figuring out how to put the two together so that they're complementary, so that they're stronger together than apart. That's the only way you're going to get that potential sponsor, in my case, to say yes. And if you don't do that well, when they're done laughing, they're going to say no thank you. And then you'll never get the price you're asking for because you haven't demonstrated that the strategic value and the ROI is there. So in my case right now, I'd say the best is when that absolutely clicks. So when we've done our homework, we understand the business objectives of that six-figure partner we're going after. We look at all of the collegiate sports assets that we have, in my case here at UMass Amherst, but in the broader case, I also work on regional and national deals across the 30 Nelligan colleges and universities we have the rights to across the country. So I can put together regional deals, national deals, or deals just for UMass Amherst athletics. The neat thing is taking a look at what we have and really helping folks to see it through a different light. And that's really been the most success right now is when that comes together. I understand their objectives. I've creatively positioned a particular asset such that they say yes, and that works. And then the worst part, or the most challenging part, is when they have a preconceived, the most challenging aspect is when, which a lot of brands do, they have a very preconceived notion of what a corporate partnership or sponsorship is at the collegiate athletic level. They really see it kind of one-dimensional because that's traditionally how corporate sponsorships have always been sold. I joke around with our guys every single day that when most people, if I ask them, hey, what do you think you get in your sponsorship package, right? Everyone is like, well, it depends if it's gold, silver, or bronze level, right? Very one-dimensional corporate sponsorship packaging in the first place. There's no strategic marketing in there at all, okay? It's an inventory sell. That world has evolved. I call that corporate sponsorship sales of the 80s, okay, the fat 80s and the ignorant 90s, okay? But today, it's all about marketing. So what I've found is not so much the worst, but the biggest challenge is when you have a prospect who thinks they know what they want, and it's very, very difficult to help them to see your property in multiple dimensions. They really view, they're like, oh, I don't think I'm interested in working with UMass Athletics. I mean, you're just talking about advertising in the football program, right? And they have a very one-dimensional, linear view. So right there, to everybody's point, that's when your sales hat has to go on, okay? Any part of sports marketing, you're never, if you're going into sports marketing because you don't want to sell, that might be the wrong reason to do it. okay? Because you're going to find that you're selling every single day. You might not just be using the word sales, okay? But marketing is positioning. I hate to use the word spinning like a lot of people use, but it is positioning. It is creatively getting the consumer to want what you have. Okay, so whether you're doing sports marketing for Octagon, you have a client and you're trying to convince them that you're the consultant, right? And you're trying to convince them of what you think will help move their business, okay? Or you're sports marketing, you're in a sports property, okay, like me, and you're trying to sell sports. Same type of thing, okay? So probably the best is when it comes together, and the worst or the biggest challenge is when the potential corporate partner or prospect has a real linear view of what you're trying to sell them, and then it's really a challenge sometimes to help them to see the broader picture. But again, if you do it well, if you really are a creative marketer, you will get them to see it. We had that meeting yesterday with the biggest bus company in this region. He's like, I don't think I need your help at all. No, we're the biggest. We already run lines through Amherst, yada yada, blah, blah, blah. We don't need you guys. I would never pay more, Pam. So I don't even know why we're having this meeting. Okay, he's like one step down from the president. So then, an hour later, we just finished his $40,000 proposal that we're going to email over later. Okay, that's sports marketing. All right, is getting him from here to here in one meeting. Okay, that's sports marketing. Now that's a combination of sales, brand strategy, understanding his objectives, and probing in that meeting to the point where he let me see something, and that's all I needed. I just needed one little crumb, to be able to just ask the right probing question. I just took off with that, and we knew we had him hooked at about 25 minutes in. So, all right, and he was all chest feathered, straight stiff arming us when we walked in the door. So that's best and worst for me.
I go with that implementation because the best laid plans don't always go as well, because for a year and a half I was working with Hershey and Reese's on college basketball sponsorship of 4 platforms: Maui, the Showcase, the 2K, and I forget what the other one was, but and we did different levels of campaigns for each one, and so we could test to see which one was working the best, just doing ads, just doing digital and ads, doing decals on the floors and all that. And it turns out the 2K was the best, and it had the decals on the floor. But unfortunately, last year doing the 2K, players slipped on it, and that's all the press we got. So we can go. We were all kind of. But anyways, it's the best laid plan. It was great. That third level sponsorship, because the fourth one was the Showcase, which was a title sponsorship, although it was just 2 teams playing in it on ESPN. It was neat to test different levels of integration, but you can't, for implementation, there's nothing you can do about it. So
Integration's always dangerous.
It is dangerous.
We had something with the ESPYs last year, trying to get Justin Timberlake to time a presentation for the Cap One Cup, and on television, I don't think anyone saw, how crazy it was, but it was my crazy idea to try to do this live backstage, and Justin didn't show up for 2 hours. We literally moved back that broadcast probably every time we went into an extra long break. I felt like, oh my God, someone's going to snap my head off. It's really because you put together this integrated program, the Cap One Cup, you vote on it, and then you unveil it at the ESPYs, but the idea doesn't fall the way it's supposed to. But you just have to learn how to kind of spin and get back up and keep it moving, because that's what it is. You're selling and you're presenting yourself as a brand. You're selling things to the advertiser. Just got to do your best to try to make it work.
Don't get disappointed if it doesn't work.
I'll tell you the best and worst from my perspective is really complacency and people that continue to do the same thing over and over again. That's like a pet peeve. And the best thing about our business, in my opinion, I never knew what went on in a venue, in an arena. I went to a lot of shows and always had a great time. I had no clue what went on behind the scenes, be it from an operational perspective, a box office perspective, and certainly not from a marketing perspective. So when you're involved in a venue, in a marketing position, you're involved in all the publicity, you're involved in the sponsorship, you're involved in all the selling of the tickets, you're working with the promoters, in a lot of cases you're working with the acts. So there's a myriad of things that occur, and that's what's always got me out of bed in the morning, is that it's going to be something different today. No 2 days are similar. because once the phone rings, it's totally something else that was on your to-do list that went from not there to number one. So that adrenaline rush, and I mean, I've been doing it a while, I still get it when things happen. Oh, we just booked a big show. I'm on it. Who do we call? What's the format? Here we go. Meeting with the media all the time. So the venue side, I hear a lot of people talk about sports, because that's our belief system. You know, Red Sox, Bruins, Celtics. You know, I want to do that. Well, I did too. But, you know, my path just went a little different way. But I've worked with the Bruins. I've worked with the Celtics. I worked with NBA basketball. And my joy and pleasure really comes out of creating events that have never been done before and having that kind of wherewithal. So I would ask you to do your research on where you want to go in your career. The venue side is certainly diverse enough to give you concerts, music, family shows, and everything in between. So I know I didn't know what it was when I was here. And I still find people, we have interns and they don't have an understanding of our business. But it's been very gratifying. I urge you to explore it.